Think for yourself. Question authority.
And a very special guest today. The one, the only, Danny Carey. So you were known as Danny Longlegs.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was the multi-limb thing, the octopus comparison or something, man, like the 8 arms and legs or whatever. Yeah. I was just going through the LA Weekly or whatever, the Music Connection, just looking at every audition I could get, and I usually got them, but in the meantime, I kind of met a few different people, and I had a delivery job with a bass player that played with Carole King. He got me a gig playing with Carole for a while, and then that band, through that band, some of those guys played for some sitcoms and stuff like that. We weren't really like a David Letterman band or something, but when they shoot before a live audience, they have a band there a lot of times to keep the energy up. So while they're moving the cameras, people aren't just sitting there bored or whatever. They go, well, let's play a high energy song, It's really a funny gig, but it paid okay, and there's always craft services and stuff, and we were all starving musicians. So it was great. You get a free meal and do that once a week, while they're shooting the episodes or the season. It was a pretty cool gig, actually. When I think back now, it came at the right time. I was able to first kind of start paying my rent from my art at that time, which was really satisfying. But then it wasn't too long after that, playing for 2 or 3 of those shows, and then playing with Carole and Jeff Buckley and some different guys. And then I met the guys in Tool, and then that just took over everything,
That was Green Jello at first, wouldn't that the first version of that be?
Well, that was kind of going parallel. The Green Jello guys lived next door to me, and I was playing with them, and then Maynard moved in with them, and that was how I met Maynard.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how he ended up living with those guys or who he met to move in there, but it worked out great. Yeah. Yeah, I just got back actually 4 days ago, something like that, from Michigan, like way up north, like almost the UP, like out in the woods and the lakes,
out in the booms.
Yeah, fishing and looking at all the wildlife, and it was a great time, man. Do a little water skiing and hanging out on the lake life. Building a studio, which was really cool.
Yeah. It doesn't look like you take any time off, because I saw that you have your rig out there.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to take advantage of this time away from the band to kind of develop some new chops and things. I have something to offer next time we get in the room together, Yeah, well, we got in on some pretty good touring, luckily, right after the new year. And then, come March, we were just taking off on about a 10-show run. And then we were going to have a little break and then start the biggest American tour we've ever done. So that was a heartbreaker when all that hit the fan. And so we're just kind of in suspension now. We have dates held in November and December, but it's highly unlikely that's going to pan out. We're kind of at the mercy of the NBA and the NHL at this point. If they start having games, then we'll get to tour, because it's pretty much the same venues we do our gigs in. We're waiting and hoping, if not, we've got some stuff held over in Germany and all over Europe in January and February. So I'm hoping that'll come through, if nothing else. Yeah. Now, like I said, I've lost my blisters. I'm out of shape. It's going to kill me when we get back into it. It takes a good couple of weeks for me, just the physical part of it to get back in there, and let alone the mental thing. And, it's hard for me to listen to myself. So, I have to remember all the songs or listen to them, kind of learn them again, even at this point, maybe. I guess we'll see how it goes, but it comes back quick always, and then hopefully it goes to even a new place. That's the hope anyway. Yeah. It really depends for me, like who I've been hanging out with. Like, if we start jamming all the time, that'll have a big effect on my behavior. If I'm at the baked potato playing with the jazz dudes, everything feeds into it, especially in the improvisational parts, more so than on the real structured parts, of course. But it's good. It's, I like to try to keep as much input, going, so it's a different experience all the time. Like the physical plane is not I'm not huffing and puffing and sucking wind like I do at a Tool show. I mean, I'm really hitting hard there. I can't really hit that hard in that room, but it's kind of more taxing because it's almost all improv, so I have to be, have really big ears and be on top of everybody and try not to, you know, step on people's toes and stuff. It's so spontaneous, I guess.
Something
But
as
it's fun. But yeah, I kind of stick to moving my own gear and stuff just to keep it real when I do those kind of gigs. Yeah, that's good. I think it's good for me mentally. There's sort of rules that apply, I guess. And and a lot of those tunes, like, there's sort of standards in that world in a way. I mean, well, Doug, of course the originals are, but they all sort of have this framework. You play the head and do the changes and all that, and then everybody just takes turns jamming over that framework, and then because we've done it now for over 5 years or whatever, we can kind of anticipate the way people are going and things like that. It's just kind of it is a language that you sort of pick up on, and it develops within different members. You kind of invent your own language among yourselves, as a group, and it's been long enough now that we're starting to get pretty good at it, I guess. But yeah, we've never rehearsed once.
what was your original inspiration when you were in Kansas to get rolling into music? Was there some impetus seeing a band or?
Yeah, well, there wasn't much else to do in the Midwest, and my dad always had music and stuff playing around the house, so I was always exposed and kind of had an ear for it. He played classical and jazz stuff all the time in the house, and then
Was he a musician?
he played sax some. He wasn't a professional by any means. He was closer to being a professional golfer, actually. He was a really good golfer. But it was great. So when I started developing my love of music and buying rock and roll records, he was always real supportive, and I really wanted to start playing the drums, and he helped me buy my first 2 kits and all that, and paid for my schooling. And the minute he was kind of a military guy, so the minute I wanted to take it up, he's like, well, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it right. And he found the best teacher in town, and I had to report to him once a week. And that started when I was, God, I guess 10 years old or something. So I studied until I graduated out of UMKC, like went through 4 years there, playing at the Conservatory of Music and all that. So that kind of established my base to go from. But I just wanted to rock, and it was more of a legit jazz school or something, So as soon as I saved up money and moved out to LA, and all my dreams came true.
Was that the syncopation book that they had you studying back then?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's like a Bible or whatever. The other one is oh man, I don't have here. Oh, this one here. The syncopation book, and then this one here, the advanced modern drummer. This is like, I actually started working out of this again, because I've gotten kind of rusty on some of the technical things, and it's nice when I'm on my own just to practice, keep things tuned up in a way, and also I know it's funny. I when I'm reading books and stuff, I'm not a very good reader, but I'll work on ideas to the point where I'm getting kind of frustrated or something, or I'm trying to play all of them backwards with my left hand now, or my left foot or something. And then it just kind of opens doors. All of a sudden, then I'll just jump out of the book and just rip an improv. And then a lot of times that's how I get new ideas, like just through kind of shredding or practicing and something kind of formal. And then kind of going, fuck this, and cut loose. And then different things pop out, it works really good for me usually. I never wanted to be the weak link when the conversation is coming from a pretty high level, or contributing to the songs. Like, it's kind of my job more so, since I'm not really operating harmonically or melodically, to just to make sure I can push rhythmically as far as I can, and actually try to kick my bandmates in the butt, and try to throw new ideas at them, and throw polyrhythms and things over the top of what they're playing, and then it kind of opens pathways for the composition to grow in different ways. And that's the emphasis I try to keep in mind when I'm practicing, because you don't want to come in and just start playing some exercise over what somebody's doing. You want to be able to embellish the tune in the way that it's talking to you or and hold the conversation with the other guys without bringing the level down, rather than try to push it up higher. That's always been my goal anyway. And then like, and also I think it's always a drummer's role to like, if you have two different parts, to try to lead them into each other, you know, like have enough nuances and things where you can play the 3 idea coming up over the 4 or things like that, you know, to make it more seamless and cohesive. You know, goes a long way. It's a slow process for us to compose our tunes because we really don't have a songwriter like a, you know, like a Neil Young or something like that. You know, we just get in there and jam, and these jams can take off all these different directions. You know, that's when we're all kind of pushing weirdness on each other, and a lot of it's worthless, but we always keep a tape rolling the whole time. So then we just find the cool bits and go, wow, this would fit good with this. You know, we this crazy stuff. Then we all take the tapes home and listen to them, and then show up the next day and then have a little meeting, sort of, you know, talk about how that's going to develop or what direction it can go. And yeah, sometimes it's different time signatures or whatever can feed into other ones, and it's weird. It's always hard to kind of figure out how things fit together, but they do. And then I think it's almost like commitment. If we all are feeling it, then we can make it fit together, you know, or something. It's definitely a band vibe that makes the songs come together in the end, and all of us feeding into this pot. And it's a good process, but I wouldn't recommend it to the faint of heart by any means, because it's time consuming and it takes us a long time to write. But you know, it's our process, and it sounds like us in the end. So I'm happy about that. You know. I've always been kind of inspired by certain arts and geometric shapes and things. And sometimes, you know, you kind of get visions in my head or something like certain time when things are in a certain time signature or something, or you see possibilities of layers going over each other. But I guess it's sort of synergistic in a way where you can look at a painting and paint the space between you and the painting, or play the space in between, you know, something like that. You know, I try to do that for inspiration sometimes as much as listen to other music. I like to try to get it out of like visual art things and stuff, but it's tricky, you know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but certain things strike you and then off you go, you know?
Did you find that when you worked with Alok, and getting the tabla deep intensity instruction from one of the masters, that even opened up another doorway of like sub timing or substructural?
Yeah, that definitely helped I think the polyrhythmic thing and some of my playing, because a lot of their thing, they invert rhythms, even though like over the same time, or they have patterns that go over, like playing over the bar line, you know, you can call it like playing the 5/4, and then
Right.
having the confidence to do that in it while you're actually jamming, and trusting that you'll be able to make it meet again. You know, that's a lot of good ideas come out of that. And that's kind of what I got out of the Indian thing, being able to play over and trust the cycles that will come around and meet again. You know, so that stretched that part of my playing probably more than anything else. That was the big benefit I think I got from playing with the Alok. It's kind of endless. I mean, I feel like I could go back and start taking more lessons from him as soon as possible. You know, Maynard was trying to put together some kind of a band, and I was so busy just doing all this stuff, and I just didn't know if he could sing or anything. And I had the space that had a PA in it, so I would rent it out to bands, you know, to help pay my rent over at the loft at that time. And he rented it out a few times, and he'd have friends come over and jam. And it seemed like their drummer was always flaking out. And I go, well, man, you booked the time, you got to pay me. And then when he had Adam and Paul Demore come over the first time, the drummer flaked out, I guess. So I felt kind of sorry for him. I go, well, my stuff's set up, so I'll just play with you guys today. And the minute I heard that, I just went, whoa, this is something special, you know, man. I feel really lucky that I had the ability to recognize that, you know, but it was a feeling that it was the kind of music I loved. It was heavy, but it still felt like I could just go any direction I wanted. And they were all open to it and great guys to hang with. And we just became friends. And
do you know what it was you heard that made that connection right away? Was it something about Adam, or was it something about Maynard?
I think it was just the combination of the four of us, just that chemistry or something, it just felt right. And it sounded heavy and powerful too. Adam had a great tone from the beginning, even on weird gear he was playing. I don't even remember what he had, like an old Randall amp or something, but
Right.
it was just the vibe, I think, and it's kind of, like Jimi Hendrix could pick up any guitar and just blow your mind. Or it was like, we could have had anything we were playing on. I think it was just where we were meeting was the right thing at the right time. And it felt really good to all four of us. So it was instant musketeer kind of thing,